Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Gaia Education's webinar series with a focus on sustainable development and design. My name is Giovanni Charlo. I am the chairperson of the management team at Gaia Education, and I'm your host for this online experience, which I am sure you will find of great value as we explore the many issues related to the EDE curriculum developed by Gaia Education. The EDE curriculum, of course, was compiled by the GEES, the Global Ecovillage Educators for Sustainable Earth. We are honored to have Hildur Jackson with us today. Hildur is a founding GEES and a visionary ecofeminist who has given her spiritual guidance and inspiration to the worldview curriculum we use in our design courses. She's also an author, a grandmother, and a generous philanthropist. Hildur will be presenting a new story of transformation and universal principles of interdependence, which she will explain in more detail shortly. The worldview issues around socio-ecological relationships are some of the most urgent issues of our time. And as we enter the age of sustainability, and as we attempt to live within the Earth's carrying capacity, we cannot afford to ignore the needs to heal and protect the Earth's life-giving systems. So this topic is part of the worldview dimension of the EDE curriculum, and we bring it to you as a complement to course materials offered worldwide. This webinar is made possible by the general donations of many supporters, so please consider making a contribution to make other programs of this kind possible by visiting our website, and you will find there a donations link where you can make your donation with PayPal or other ways. I would like to point out that you can find a downloadable version of the full EDE curriculum. You can see some of our publications on the slides right now, along with many other publications in our website, which is www.gaiaeducation.org. Gaia Education certifies courses, and they are offered throughout the world. They're also offered online. The online courses are in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Some of them are offered through the Open University of Catalonia, and some of them on our own platform. You can follow us also in our social media. Let me see if I can put up that slide. Yes. So there is our social media slide. You can go to these links to follow Gaia Education. So here's some housekeeping tips that you need to know to enjoy this webinar. You will have audio and video on your screen if you downloaded Fuse to your computer. Otherwise, you can call in from your telephone at the number provided free from the United States. There is a small cost internationally. You will see the slides, and today, Hildur is having a little trouble with her video, so you will not see her, unfortunately, but you will hear her. You can use the chat box in the Fuse screen to post your questions, but you don't have voice access at this point. Only the presenters will see your chat. It will be best if you have any other applications closed on your computer while attending the seminar. It will make it for a smoother experience. Let me see. Yes. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to put that up yet. The webinar will be recorded, and it will be available for download later, along with some of the documents that come with the webinar. If you're interested in looking at that, we'll send you the link by email after the webinar is completed. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Hildur Jackson. Thank you very much, Hildur, for joining us in this webinar today. And welcome. This is an international broadcast all over the world. We are very excited to have you. And let me put up Hildur's content. Let me see if this is the right one.
Yeah.
Yes. So welcome, Hildur.
Thank you, dear. Thank you for making all this possible. So I'm Hildur Jackson, sitting in Copenhagen, while Dio is sitting in the States, north of New York. and we have been cooperating on getting this on the air. Welcome to all of you sitting out there all over the planet in Africa. A lot of people are meeting in Africa for a big global Gen meeting. Big hug to all of you, and Asia, and in South America, and in many countries in Europe. So I saw the list of names, and I think of all of you. It's my first experience of this kind, so I hope you'll bear with me if my English is like falling apart in between. I'm sorry you cannot see me, but maybe it's a big luck for you. Here I sit in Denmark, and this is solstice. This is the shortest afternoon of the year. Tomorrow the day will be a few minutes longer, and here the return of the light is a precondition for life. And I'm so happy to know that that light is coming back, because it's dark and cold and windy, and it's going to be nice to get some more sun. At the same time as the new year is being born, we are also giving birth to a new culture. And the eco-villages have been doing that for years. It's a culture which is based on a totally new story. And I'm going to try to outline the different elements of this new story. I've for many years, since we met on Iceland with the Gaia Education 7 years ago, I've been collecting, trying to put all these ideas of this new story into one page, and you can afterwards download this one page. So I'll go through the different points of this new story, because I think it's valuable, helpful for me also to have it just on one page. What is this new story about? Everybody starts talking about it after the big meeting at Findhorn in the autumn. Uh, it seems as if we are all waiting to get grasp this new story, to start living it. So I'll try to give you what I feel are the important elements of this new story. But before I get to that, so this baby here, she is a symbol. We call her Gaia Lucia. Gaia, it's a name for the living earth, Mother Earth, and Lucia, that's light. She is a symbol of the new year and the new culture. So who am I talking to you? I just think some of you know who I am, but if you don't, imagine I'm sitting here. On the left, you see a small picture of a farm, and in the middle of the picture, there are some white buildings, tiny white buildings. That's where I live. It's a farm which is situated 20 minutes by car from the center of Copenhagen, and I live here with my husband from 50 years, Ross Jackson, and my daughter, my former daughter-in-law Rie, and our two granddaughters live in one wing, and we live in the other. At the same time, between the farm and the lake to the left. Oh. We have something called Common Green. We are 20 families who grow the land together, grow vegetables together. We have two farmers who are responsible, and we do the work. And we just finished building an earth cellar where we can store all the good vegetables. To the right, you see my big family. I have three grown sons and quite a few grandchildren, and then also my two brothers are sitting here with their families, just to give a feeling of family life is important, and it's still a very integrated part of everybody's life here. Sometimes you say that the families are falling apart. Here, it's not the case. Family life is very important. So this is going to be about worldview. And what is a worldview? Of course, you can imagine the picture of the world seen from the planet, seen from the cosmos, but it's also a systemic story about how things fit together, and what about the paradigm of that we are living. So all the different elements of life are collected in one worldview, and right now we are in between worldviews. We have an old worldview that we are leaving, and we're entering a new worldview. And what I want to describe is what I think is the new worldview coming up, which is it's appearing to all of us, and it's a chance we have to grasp it and grip it and be part of it. But it's good to realize that there are two paradigms fighting to have the biggest meaning to people. And if I should say what the essence of the different worldviews that are struggling to have the prevalence, it's the old worldview is a paradigm of separation, where religion was separated from science, where we think in parts, where we're separated in subjects and objects, where we are objects for science who decide, and business and politicians to decide how we are going to live. We are seen not as active people taking action and deciding our own fate. It's also seen as a mechanical clock gradually unwinding with no divine plan behind it. That's called also the Cartesian Newtonian paradigm, after two famous European scientists. And it has been dominating everything in Europe for the last 300 years. But in the East, they still have another kind of paradigm of oneness, which they are living at the same time as they have also adopted the Western paradigm to quite an extent. So characteristic of the emerging worldview, that is a concept of interconnectedness of all things. We are all one. We are a word that really describes this is oneness. We are one with the universe, with the living universe, and we are in direct contact, all of us. Even if you sit out there and you cannot see me, you can hear me, but even if you cannot hear me, we are still in contact. My thoughts can reach your thoughts. We are not separated in subject and objects. We are active agents in our own life. We can change life. And we have to find people that we can change the life with, that we can act together with. This is a systemic view of life. The whole is more than just the sum of the parts. We study relationships instead of parts, and we make design instead of science in the old way. We are part of a self-regulating living network. To make this more understandable, well, I jumped. I want to tell you how this has manifested in my personal life, because that makes it probably more easy to understand. When I was a young girl, my mother was constantly saying that the human condition is lust of the flesh and the irreparable loneliness of the soul. She felt really separate from society, separate from her husband. She felt lonely as a woman sitting with small children, without any power, without any role in society, not getting recognition for what she was doing. She was a wonderful, loving person, but she was very unhappy. As a child, I knew I didn't want to repeat that. I had to find another way. It could not be true. I didn't believe in that. So I spent my life searching for a different truth. I became also, I didn't believe that that competition was the main law in life, like many people that think it is, like in the getting an education, compete for good position, compete with other. I really believed that there must be a way of cooperating, that it was different from just competing. So this has led and decided the steps of my life. I became a lawyer just to be able to make a proper living, because I knew I wanted to have a proper living, and I thought that I would not never make it to have a husband that I could live with, and I didn't believe that that would be possible. But now I've been living for 50 years with a wonderful man, so I believe in that now, and I also believe in different worldview now. When I finished as a lawyer, I started studying cultural sociology, and after 10 years of that, I joined something called the Nordic Alternative Campaign. And this is important for me, so I just want to describe this to you. This is an image that we drew up of how I looked upon the world, that we were in little Denmark sitting having a great time while the world was burning around us, and we needed to switch it around. This is something you use for boiling eggs, this thing. We needed to switch it around so that everybody could have a good life. We used that. We made a Nordic competition, a Nordic contest of ideas, we called it, and we got prizes. And it was school classes all over the Scandinavian countries who took part in this and came up with very good ideas for how we could change this. The Alternative Future Project was 100 grassroots movements within environment, peace, women, and so. And the idea was to create a vision together with the scientific community. So grassroots and science going together, where usually science was helping business or helping the politicians. Here they should be taking the lead together with the NGOs to create a vision of how we could change the world. And we worked with it in all the Nordic countries, trying to get money directly from the Nordic parliament. And we made preliminary projects in all the countries. And now, 30 years later, we have just in Sweden been editing a new book called The Sustainable Society, which I hope I'll try what I can to get it out in English, because it contains a wealth of ideas from Scandinavia. And many people, they seem to look to Scandinavia because we have, after all, some quite good societies here, with a lot of sustainability and a lot of democracy. So what came out of this 10 years of cooperation with the Nordic Alternative Campaign, which I coordinated on a Scandinavian level, and I went to all the Scandinavian meetings. What the holistic worldview for me, the main point was to heal the split between science and religion. It's been with us for so many years, especially the last 400 years. And what I think we need a science which is based on values and a religion based on experience. There don't have to be a split. And this split is causing so much friction and problems. And in order to have this new worldview, you need to think it's like the intuition catches knowledge from the cosmos. So art, poetry, and music may be closer to reality than the words which will always be on a different level, on a level of dualism. The words, they tend to have a different value. So science may not be quite as close to reality as art and poetry. But of course, we need science and we need theories, but we must also realize how limited science can be. And one thing about science is that science, I went through all the scientific, what do you call it, areas like economy and sociology and all the different art, there are all different scientific sections. And what I looked for was whether it had been shaped so that it was useful for a group of people to use to act from. And what I found was that it is not. We need science and theories which allow action, because we are not a collection of objects, we are a communion of subjects. For me, this has been a major important thing, and it has been behind all the work of creating the Global Ecovillage Network and the Ecovillages. What has proven is that people are totally capable of creating their own lives. They have all the imagination, all the knowledge that is necessary. And another thing I also learned that was I wanted community. Community is vital. After working with this Nordic Alternative Campaign for 10 years, Ross and I, my husband and I, he earned a lot of money. We didn't get the money from Parliament, so he earned a lot of money. And we set up a strategy for how to spend the money based on all the work I had been done the previous 10 years. And we came up with a YinYang Strategy, which means living a new paradigm of oneness. And for many years, Yang had been prevalent. Now we needed a much more Yin approach. Yin, that is the female. That's how we relate to each other. So the idea was to support how we create, how we want to, how people want to live with their friends and people, with nature, and seeing, and then finding ways to adapt economy and technology to that. That became our main strategy. We call it the YinYang Strategy. That means creating a different balance. You see, we got this image from some of the workers who refurbished. We moved to Thy, who refurbished our land up there. This is an image of the mother culture, which is suffering, the female culture, which has been suffering for years. It's falling apart. It's a picture of Mother Earth, of Gaia. And what we need now is a much more balanced view of Gaia. This is a balanced image of the yin yang, of the male and female. It's made by a Danish friend of ours. Just to give you some pictures of what I'm talking about. I think you can see how balanced and beautiful this is. And we need this balance. And it has been not balanced for the last 400 years. So all these are the parts of the one page I mentioned in the beginning. And this is the basic sentence of the new story, that all life is one and intimately interrelated. We influence each other and are dependent on each other all over the planet. We are one with nature, plant and animal systems. Every single person is responsible for the wholeness and can influence it. It's a new spiritual paradigm. It's not a materialistic one. This is spiritual with great implications. It was formulated 100 years ago by science here in the West, but millennium ago in the East, which we need to acknowledge. And it's now ready to become the foundation of a new global culture. But how do we get there? How do we do? Here in two colors, humans need to change and we need to change the world. It's a big task to change ourselves and the world at the same time. And somebody may say it's impossible, but it is not. Of course we can do it. And it's being done in the Ecovillages. Go and visit them. You will see it's happening all over. How do we change? At first, I'll go through how we change in people, and then later on how people change the world in society from below and from above. At first, how do we change ourselves? At first, we need to acknowledge that it's possible. I'm a member of a spiritual system called the Sashmark, which means the natural path. And they have this image of the person, that we all have the divine light in us. What we need is the light is dimmed from impressions from this and earlier lifetimes, and we need to clean it away. We need to clean away all these old impressions and outdated thoughts for our light to shine and for us to get access to global consciousness. I think that's a beautiful way of seeing it. This is a spiritual concept of persons. How do we do that? You can be a member of Sashmark, but there are many other spiritual systems, and you can make all different kinds of personal work. Here is an image by a European healer of the person. So since thoughts are primary, we need to clean the person, because we don't only think with our heads, we think with the whole body. So we need to clean the whole body. And to start with the heart is a good thing, since all parts of the body is reflected in the heart. But we also need to balance the right and the left, which is the male and the female in ourselves. And we need to balance up and down. We need to have like a good contact with the ground on which we stand. Most Westerners, they are much too much in their heads. It's difficult for them to get the energy down. There are so many ways of doing this. And this is just to give you an idea of that problems are different in different parts of the world, but we all have to develop our capacity for love to be able to have this direct contact with people all over the planet and with the divine. here, that's what I just talk about. As we are as persons, especially when we get cleared, when we get our system cleared, we are a reflection of the living cosmos, as above, so below. So now I can see you again. Hi, you. I guess you cannot see me. The connection between with internet connection is not good enough. But
Yeah, I'm sorry.
yeah, so we need to take responsibility of our thinking. That's one of the main teachings of all this. And we need to develop love. And there are ways to do that. The Christian church didn't manage to develop that. I'm writing right now a novel or a script for a television program about Giordano Bruno, who was burned on the stake in the year 1600 because he wanted the church to teach how to develop love, and they didn't want it because the Pope was earning quite a good money by taking money to help people. So this is just very short. I could talk for days and months, and you're welcome to come here. I will, and you can join so many beautiful ways of learning what I'm talking about here. There are really fantastic way of doing it, and once you start, you will find what fits and suits you. And a different way of talking about the holistic concept of a person is to talking about health, because the Western medicine is really very much based in this separation, the healing the different parts of the body, but not thinking of the whole body. And for instance, when you talk about the Western medicine, that they are giving antibiotics to people, and we're giving antibiotics to the animals so that they are getting resistance. And it's not a very holistic way of doing things in the long run. We need to work with probiotics. We need to think of the whole and make the whole system work, our own system and the systems around us. So we need to constantly think in new concepts of holism when it comes to it. But I don't further into that. I'll talk now about um, society that needs to change. This was changing the person, which a lot of us have been trying. I've been trying into it for 20, 30 years. And I hope that people can see that maybe I'm becoming a little more of a loving person than I used to be. I hope so very much. At least I love my family and the world around me, and I feel so supported by all the people in the Global Equivalence Network and the contacts we have with all these fantastic people. So the society needs to change, and it will have to happen from below, and it will be transition groups and eco-village groups and other local groups that will do it. It will be cities. Cities will be very important because they already have an organization and they can act. They don't need to wait for the politicians of the country. And the text here is groups creating such communities to create settlements which are sustainable spiritually, ecologically, environmentally, and socially. A new economic system, new laws, and new technologies will be invented and adapted to support this endeavor. Communities will be accepted as a new and very old global lifestyle. And that's what I firmly believe, that we need to get back to having community, because everybody needs to be part of a community to be able to take action. It's very difficult in our countries where people don't know their neighbors to take action because we cannot reach the politicians, and the politicians are afraid of actions. We need to have local communities who takes action and start the change from below. And this Ecovillage culture, which I have been a part of for the last 20 years, in the summer we will have a 20-year celebration of that and a 10-year celebration of Gaia Education in Findhorn. They have invented a creative, solidary, whole body culture. And one of our logos, or one of our, what do you say, not logos, our sayings is, if it's not fun, it's not sustainable. We really want to be whole persons living whole life. And this is just one image that I can give you of that. This is a board meeting of Jen, and the whole body is being dipped, having fun in the water, but I promise you they work hard at the same time. And here is the mandala of the Gaia Education, the social worldview, ecological and economic. And every every one of these 4 sections is split into 5 modules. So we work with 20 modules, which are all equally important in order to create a sustainable community. Very often people only think about technology or economics to do the change, but we need the social and the worldview in it. Without that, nothing is going to happen. And when you integrate all these things, what you come up with, the way you can integrate it, you cannot really in an old-fashioned scientific way integrate all this, because you measure them in different ways. But a group of people, they can make a conscious choice based on a deep knowledge of all these areas to design the kind of society that they think will work for the world and for themselves. And that's why design is a key word in what we are doing. It's a group of people who decide how they want things to be. And if you start on the bottom, on a local level, inhabitants creating ecovillages and transition towns, it's local food production and so forth. But then we also need some changes on the regional and national level and on a global level. And that I will come back to. On the regional level, we have the cities, they have to cooperate, towns and ecovillages. We have to have 100% renewable energy and organic farming all over. We have to get different systems of transport, because transport is taking so much of the energy of society. So we need things to happen on all levels, but I think that the major and very important level is the local level. So here's like a little way of seeing it, the science and politics, how it used to be. What it used to be is neoliberal economics, which has more or less ruined the world the last 20, 30 years, and the technology which has possibilities, but which serves the wrong masters, eh? And businesses, they are not conscious about the role they play enough. So that's because growth has been the goal of this neoliberal economics, and urbanism has been the way. And urbanism has more than 50% of the global population now lives in urban areas, and most of these big urban cities are not really friendly for people, and they don't give the proper contact with nature, which people need to have to be able to live a sustainable lifestyle. So what we need to do is to change change science and politics towards a holistic worldview and a science towards communities and networks of people, towards green cities, towards ecological economics, a whole new branch of economics which is gaining big interest. My husband wrote what I think is a fantastic book about an ecological economic for the world called, what is it called, your book? Occupy Wall Street. Occupy Wall Street. Go to his website and see about it. And we need 100% ecological low food production and 100% renewable energy. And it's possible. Denmark has set the goals for the 100% renewable energy, and it is going to happen in 10 or 20 years. It's possible all over. We just need to make the decisions and make our politicians aware of that. And then we need to create new global organizations and businesses and cooperatives which are supportive of this new, much more young system. So who is doing it? I mean, as you know, the Global Economics Network meeting in Africa right now, they're doing it. Gaia Education is doing it. The transition movement in South America, these 3 movements are one, which is fantastic. There are integral science, there are institutes in the States, there are many, many more who are covering all the 4 dimensions. There are many other areas who cover separate areas like ecology, permaculture, renewable energy. The 350 organization which just got the Alternative Nobel Prize a few days ago in Stockholm. There are economy, local money systems, ecological economics, many wonderful initiatives in economy to change the economic systems. And then there are projects promoting a new worldview, many spiritual systems all over the world. They start cooperating. They have meetings and they are trying to define what's common to all of them at the same time as they increasingly value that they're different. The Global Peace Initiative of Women, the Global Peace Initiative of Women, which is a wonderful female feminist initiative. Look it up on the internet. They are doing incredible, beautiful work, meeting in troubled areas and getting people there from all different spiritual systems, having dialogues. We just had a visit by the Satchana Institute. They're doing the same. There are many, many forms on the world. There are many different organizations doing beautiful work on this along these lines. And the social, we have the World Social Forum, we have social networks. So there are many people working on this already, but we need many more, and we need a concerted effort. We need a common worldview. We need to work with a new story to make the new story understandable and available to everybody. So please spread the good news that there is a story. This may not be the only one. This is what I have been able to get together from our 30 years of work with this area. And here you see a map of where we are teaching the Gaia education. And this has happened in 20 years. We're teaching in 36 countries, and our curriculum is available, downloadable for free in 10 languages. Also Japanese and Chinese. I think that's a major achievement, and it's fantastic. And to work with all these people is fantastic because they live the new worldview. They have put their lives at stake to create something new, and they are brave and courageous. They all deserve prizes for what they are doing. And together we have written 4 books which are helpful for if you want to teach an EDE, an Equivalence Design Education. Everybody can start teaching it. You can read articles on all the different modules of this curriculum that I showed before, and they are downloadable in English for free. Soon they will be. They're also available in Spanish, but I think you need to pay a little fee if you want them in a hard copy. So humans, we can live aligned in support of this purpose and create societies and communities in harmony with this new story and with spiritual and natural laws. Global justice, listening to nature and respecting her are fundamentals. It is happening. It's possible. This new story, it's there. We can live it. We can formulate it. We can give it name. And in doing so, settlements, villages, and communities will be holographic reflection of the whole, as above, so below. Human, we have a free will to decide how we want to live with each other and the natural world. We are not a collection of objects. We are a communion of subjects, all of us. And we work with you all there out there. To create recognition of communities and a global localization strategy is an important component in reducing human footprint. And that's what we need to do. We need to keep it below the global temperatures below the necessary 2%. And it's difficult, but we need to be terribly aware of this, and it is possible. Usually people, they only talk about technology as a way to doing this. Here is a Danish project by Kai Hansen, a friend of ours, who has measured the CO2 emissions, which correspond to the footprint of 3 major Danish eco-villages, and they're less than 40%, and they could easily become lower because a lot of it is travel. So it can easily become much lower than it is here. Like changing our lifestyle, building communities is a very, very good way of reducing our footprint and our CO2 emissions. And we need to get that into public debate. It's totally absent. No politicians have understood it. But make people aware of this. Use this graph. Let's get some more research done. I know that Findhorn and Sieben Linden and other German projects, they have other research projects showing that they have even lower footprint. So find it and use it. This is one of the communities that were just shown on the former this is Munkesegård on Zealand. It's 5 clusters, where people live together. I just want to show you some of these designs very quickly. I know my time is running out. This is holistic integrated design for villages and cities. I want to show you because architecture, it's going to be a different way. You design settlements, not just houses. You design whole integrated systems, integrating food system, water system. This is Tamarian in Portugal. They have created this lake so we can solve also it's a very almost desert area. We can solve the problem with getting fresh water, which is going to be one of our major problems. They have done it down there. This is the Sashmark village in Denmark where I am. My heart is coming there. I have a master who's visiting there. He's not right now. He's getting very old, but next master will come here after him. This is in the middle of Jutland. And this is Ecovillage EDE. They have built 3 co-housings on a big piece of land. Here's the land, and they grow vegetable. They have a fruit plantation. This is a different kind of planning of a whole city. This is very mainstream, very beautiful, very organic, and they teach at 2 universities from there. This is Herta in Denmark. It's where they integrate handicap. The houses are up at the top of the picture, and then they grow the land biodynamically, just to show you what's possible and how we design in a totally new way. And this is Damanhur, which is the biggest project in Europe, where many people, they love to come because they think and this is the underground temple that they have built and excavated by hand through 20 years. And this is Savodaya, which after the big tsunami in 2004 have rebuilt a village which people come and visit from afar to use the knowledge they have in how you can rebuild in the global south in a very organic and sustainable way. And this is in Kakwa in Canada. I should have many more images, which I don't. This is one of the most beautiful projects in Norway, where Ecovillage is a newest and most potent kind of intentional community. They unite 2 profound truths. Human life is at its best in small, supportive, healthy communities, and the only sustainable path for humanity is the recovery and refinement of traditional community life. That's what they write in their brochure. Go and see their webpage. It's so interesting what they are doing. I would really like to have a little flat up there and go and visit them because it's such a beautiful project. So regeneration of cities is a big problem because we have all these big cities. Copenhagen is quite a good example. They are doing what they can, and they will be totally carbon neutral in the year 2025. So it's possible for big cities. This is a big city of 2.5 million people. There are bicycle lanes all over, offshore and onshore wind farms, waste management, which is circular, where everything is circle, and they are building energy efficiency with combined heat and power systems. You can go to Herbert Girardet. He has just made a new book where he describes the possibility of the cities. At the end, the Ecovillage lifestyle is a peace initiative. It will not create destruction of nature or species or pollution or regional wars or struggle over land. It is a possibility that we can have the vision of living peacefully together on this beautiful planet, and let us try to do our bit. Thank you out there, all of you, for listening so long. I wanted to end with a song, but I think the time is running out. You'll have to sing that song. Here is what you can print out. This is a new story. All the points I went through, you can have it in just one page. And here's the song that I don't have the time to sing now. So have a nice day out there, all of you, and please come in with some questions. I'll sit here to answer.
Thank you very much, Hildur. I'm sorry you felt a little rush for time. Actually, we don't have a limit on time, but I know that we had said that this would be about 30 or 40 minutes long. So thank you for sticking with that. However, I don't think we're done yet. What I'm going to do, because we have such few people online, I'm going to turn everybody's microphone on, and hear from them if they would like to ask a question or make a comment. And then I think we'll still have time to hear this beautiful song that Hildur has for us. But if there are any comments or questions, your microphones are open. You can express them now.
I want to say that here is Ernesto, that this is a beautiful summary. It feels very complete and empowering, and it's great to know that there is so much knowledge gathered in the north of Europe.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's not only in the north of Europe. We were in Rio last 2 years ago, and there's so much knowledge gathered in South America and everywhere. It's not especially that's what is the beauty. It's everywhere. This knowledge. It's in Japan. It's in Africa. It's everywhere.
Well, I kind of know that. I'm when I was reading the curriculum the first time, I had to cry. I think I didn't cry years before that when I saw how complete and beautiful all that what I wanted to share with the world was already formulated in such a beautiful way. I'm so thankful, and it gave me so much hope in my life to be activist. I was helping Chen the last years, and I think about organizing an EDE workshop in here in Nicaragua, the third one, helping organizing it. But I'm not so sure about it. I still need to organize. I heard the deadline is at the 15th of December already. Is that right?
Actually, it's the 30th, the 31st of December, Ernesto. But you can send your application anytime. We just like to receive them uh, in certain dates so we can organize our response a little bit better. I encourage you to organize an EDE if you have it in mind, and send your application anytime. We can help you
Yeah.
make it as good as possible.
Yeah, we have some experience here already, and we want to improve it. And it's my personally my first time, and I have help from others. But yeah, thank you so much. I will try to get it done until the 31st.
Thank you, Ernesto. And I see Connie and Lucia are also still with us. If you have any comments or questions for Hildur.
Hi, Hildur. Thank you very much for this. I currently live in a small village in the southern Andes in Ecuador. I have a property in the middle of a small community, an organic farm that's been there for several generations. I'm currently completing my PhD with someone you might know or would benefit from knowing. His name is Michael J. Cohen, Dr. Michael J. Cohen. The of study you can find under Project Nature Connect. It's based on San Juan Island in Washington. It's a remarkable 50-year endeavor on his part, and it simply reconnects people with nature, which is the root cause of all of our issues. So my research has revealed. I've spent the last few years traveling around the world seeking the most innovative models of holistic education. So I have, in the course of that study, visited a number of the communities around the world in Europe, US, and South America. I guess what I would like most would be to have some contacts here in South America, particularly in Ecuador, if there are any, that I could do some further dialogue with. So thank you very much. Beautiful presentation. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. I think that May East, she must have the best connections with the South American area, as she is from Brazil. So maybe you should try to contact her.
Yes, and we actually also have another person on the webinar right now, Lucia Betaguzari from Uruguay. So maybe Lucia, you want to say a couple of words where you live and what you do, and maybe you can later write to Connie about some projects Ecuador. I don't know if Lucia is still there. Maybe not. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments, Connie. Very, very nice to hear you, and good to know that you are also living in an eco-village in Ecuador. I would be interested in knowing where it is and what it's called, and perhaps other folks there would like to join the Global Eco-Village Network and learn more about these kind of topics that we cover in the EDE curriculum.
Yeah, I would like to add that I agree with you totally. Thank you for your comment that reconnecting with nature is so important, because that's the way to get to understand all these things. And that's what makes me afraid of all these big cities, because people living in all these big cities, it's going to be very difficult for them to reconnect with nature. So we need all these eco villages where you can get out and have this feeling of how vibrant and alive nature is.
Yes. Thank you, Hildur. Thank you very much, Hildur, for this very enlightening and informative presentation. I hope our participants gain some valuable insights for how to find a new story of our interrelationship with nature in a creative and positive way through the vision and inspirations that you provided today, Hildur. So, because this is being recorded, I don't want to end it yet. I would like to actually invite Hildur to sing this beautiful song, "We Are All One Planet," and maybe after that, then we can end this webinar.
Okay, I'll do that. This is a song that Molly Scott wrote, and I heard it first time when I went to Findhorn to a big seminar. I think it was in the 80s. We are all a call to action, one planet, a call to action, I think it was called. And the words of this song is so descriptive as you cannot, any scientific project could ever get it closer than this song does it. And we have been singing it the last 20 years. Every time people in eco-villages meet, we sing this song. And for that reason, I think it's beautiful if more people get to know it. And the notes are on will be on the internet. So here it comes. We are all one planet. We are all one planet, all one people of Earth, all one planet, sharing our living, our dying, our birth. And we won't stand by watching her die, hearing her cry and deny. We live as she lives, we die as she dies. So many ways to divide us, so many ways to build boundaries and walls, systems we set up to hide us, neighborhood nations ignoring the calls of the beings who live outside our boundaries, inside our skins that are different from ours, systems, creatures whose eyes reflect the same skies and watch the same stars. We are all one planet, all one people of Earth, all one planet, sharing our living, our dying, our birth. And we won't stand by watching her die, hearing her cry and deny. We live as she lives, we die as she dies. So, good evening, everybody.
Beautiful. Thank you again, Hildur. I just want to
Thank
remind
you.
everyone of the online design for sustainability courses that Gaia Education offers. And oh, let me just put up this slide. I'm sorry, I just
Yep.
take a moment.
There.
Yes, so I do wanted to remind you all of the online courses that we offer in Spanish, English, and Portuguese. They run from October to July. Maybe you want to pass the word. It's a very nice and convenient way to learn about sustainable design without spending a lot of money and without having to leave your home. You can do it on your own time. Also, to remember to visit our website at gaiaeducation.net, where you can find downloads of all our publications and listings of our courses worldwide. This webinar is made possible by the generous donation from our many supporters, so please consider making a contribution to make this program possible in the future. You can donate by going to our website and hitting the donate button. Our next webinar will focus on the social dimension of sustainability and will broadcast in the beginning of next year. You will receive an announcement with the exact date soon. So on behalf of Gaia Education and the Geese, thank you for being with us, and may your work make a better world possible wherever you are. Thank you, Hildur, very much for your inspiration and for your lovely presentation.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year.